someone has a firearm in their car, their parent coming in, just picking up their child, I mean, how are we going to deal with that? As long as it's locked in the car? And
I'm
then,
not quite sure what you're asking me.
according to the policy, you're not allowed to have any guns in the car, so I just want to make sure if someone's happened to be picking their child up at school, they have a firearm in their car, they're not going to get any trouble for it, it's locked, they're not going into the building with it, and just trying to make sure it's, we can make an exception for something like that. Got a phone call and ran into someone last week, and they were just kind of concerned about the policy and just didn't want to get into any trouble. It was a lady that had a incident with her ex-spouse, and she has a restraining order against him, and, feels that she has to carry it all times, and she has to pick her kids up at school because it's, a mile or two from her house, and she's afraid her husband might turn her in on, carrying a gun to protect herself. So that kind of what sparked my attention on when that was brought up to me. So I was just trying to accommodate that. Don't need, like, an ex-spouse knowing that the husband, knowing the wife has it, making the call, saying that she's going to threat or do something when she has no intention to do it, kind of like the swatting issue that happened over at Naples High School, and I don't need that other parent, to go through. So I'm sure the Collier Sheriff will address it, accordingly. So that's just what I'm concerned about.
I don't, again, it's for your discussion, Board, but I don't see that this proposal would in any way cause the Board to affect that colleague or woman's rights at that moment. Rather, it becomes an issue of what we learn and then take the appropriate action. Does that make sense?
Okay. Well,
Okay. All right, Mr. Rutherford?
I see a number of problems here because in today's hostile environment, many women especially are carrying guns in their vehicles for their own personal protection. I don't know how you can get around something like that, or some men have them. But it appears to me that if someone were to walk by, say a student or another person, and glance into the car and see that weapon down by the seat of the car, they could report that person, and then there'd be problems. Now, I guess what you're going to say is that, well, we'll have to take it person by person, situation by situation. Is that correct?
You would have to, but you're absolutely right as to the first part. If you would see that, and then you know what the policy is, especially staff, they would have to report that as a violation.
So because of state statute, we said we can do that, and we're just overriding that?
Well, we're not overriding the statute. We're exercising the grant of authority within the statute to be able to do so.
Correct.
So if a parent came in, locked in their glove compartment, is that going to violate anything? Just trying to make it simply clear.
Well, if they just decide unilaterally to park on a campus parking area, and all of this is a campus, I think it would be a violation of policy. I mean, that's how I would process that, and I defer to my colleagues as well.
That's what I thought, and I just don't think that's acceptable if it's locked in a vehicle.
Okay. So it doesn't look like we have any proposed language brought forward. It sounds like the board, it's a first read. So this will come back for a vote at the next meeting.